Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Very good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. How are you all?
Good, ma'am. Thank you. How about you?
Oh, we are doing fine. So I will share my screen. Yeah. So I would like to hear from you all how it's been like. What you? I know you all have been making questions, and I have had no time to look at the questions. I promise to review all the passages and approve the questions by the weekend. I apologize for that. And I would like to know how you all been doing and I mean, how has been the experience of question making. So if we all can take turns to just give me a few lines about how it's been, uh, that would be nice. Can we start with Garima ma'am?
Yes, sure, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the chance. Ma'am, I am trying to upload the questions because only one problem is there when I see the status. So here it is shown that question allotted, not seen. So I just want to know, are you able to see my questions or are my questions
No, no,
uploaded
no, 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 no,
properly?
no. No, 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 no. Your status not seen means the reviewer has not seen the question yet. Like I am the approver, so it has not been reviewed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, ma'am, are my questions being uploaded properly? Because from my side, I'm trying my level best, but I'm not means I don't understand whether the questions are being uploaded properly or not, or if the process that I'm following is correct or not. So,
I think it should be okay, ma'am. As long as you've submitted the thing, and if you can open, you can search for your question with the Q code, and you can see whether all that you have entered is there or not. So not seen means like I have not reviewed it yet. That's the only thing.
thank you, ma'am.
How has the experience been? Like, what any feedback you have for us?
Yeah, ma'am. As now I have started understanding it, so now I'm feeling it. It's really quite good, becoming more techno friendly because of this uploading process and all. And I what I feel is I have learned a lot how to frame questions and what corrections should be made in questions because of the previous reviews and moderations. So it's really a very good process learning new things. And
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Uh, Please feel free to let me know anything, any help you need or anything like don't hesitate. Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So anybody else who wants to go next, or Garima ma'am, you can choose the next person.
Ma'am, this is good morning. This is Rashri.
Tell
I
me,
would
ma'am.
like to go next year.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a very good experience when we were uploading our questions on LSA system.
Mhm.
Which it was new for us, and obviously there were some challenges on our part, which we had to face. I especially didn't understand how to edit the questions. That was problematic for me because there were two options given, and I didn't know which one to choose.
Ah,
So
okay. But did you
yeah,
figure it out finally, or are you still struggling with that?
mm, I perhaps I edited it by selecting the new version of it. Yeah, that's it.
Ah,
So
so
again, it was re-allotted to you. Yeah.
so don't do the new version. You just say update the current version.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because
Okay.
if you say new version, it will register as a new question completely.
Okay. And I would like to add that it was personally, I take it as a challenge, and I do have a competitive spirit inside me. So I want to create good questions uh, with my teammates. And but what is happening? We are not able to see the questions of other teammates in this process. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I feel.
I think there is a way to see it. I don't think there should be a problem, but you can ask Vaishali how you can do that. Like all the questions will be visible. It's all in the item bank, right? In the question bank. So there should not be a problem in if you know the Q code. If you search by the Q code, you should be able to see the questions. Uh, yeah. So I think we can get Vaishali or Bharti to help you with that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it from my
Yeah.
side.
Sure. Ma'am, you want to choose the next person to go?
Mr. Joshi.
Joshi sir, for you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Actually, I'm enjoying the question framing activities,
Okay.
but I feel
Hmm.
it is my personal view actually that being a teacher, I am or most of the teachers are having multitasking responsibilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is why the work we are doing, I think it needs a special state of mind,
Hmm. Hmm.
at least for a more time.
Hmm.
Only one day or only 1 hour we are having every day framing questions. Then I feel that we should have more time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But since we are working in schools also,
Hmm.
9:30 we are to leave for school, and
Hmm.
at 5 p.m. we reach our home. So the time when we have been exhausted completely, at that time we are just supposed to frame quality questions.
Hmm.
So this is the problem I am facing.
Hmm.
So that
So,
quality is not coming as
okay.
I
So,
feel myself.
okay, okay. What I would say is just aim for one question per day. I think, except for Pankaj sir, all of you are required to make one question per day. And one question if you can make, and then if you can review other people's questions, that should be enough. So I think 1 hour should be, usually we estimate 20 minutes for making a question and 10 minutes for reviewing a question. So you can try and aim at one question per day instead of making uh, you know don't challenge yourself to make as many questions as possible in the best way. Try to make minimum questions in the best manner possible. So let's focus more on the quality than the quantity.
That actually only one question I know, but for making one question I have to work during those time when we do not feel like doing anything actually.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
This
I
is the
got it.
problem.
It's the frame of mind that matters.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, okay. I think slowly it will come, and the more and more you make, it will come very fluently, I guess. I hope so.
Yes, we are doing, but slowly.
Yeah, yeah. Slow and steady. Yeah, you were saying. Yeah.
So now Mr. Amit Gupta is requested to have your own say. Amit
Thank
Gupta.
you, Jyoti sir. I was expecting that actually. Very good morning to all of you.
All of you, good morning here.
Ma'am, actually, previously I was not well, so I could not take part in some of the assessments or some
Mm,
of the assessment work.
mm,
But now, as I messaged you and you cordially allotted me the work,
mm.
so I just हमारे यहाँ एक कहावत है हिंदी में कि सिर मुड़ाते ही ओले पड़ना. So as I was assigned a work, I tried to upload a passage and it was uploaded twice. If you see it,
Oh, okay.
I just uploaded a passage and it has been uploaded twice. So
Uh-huh.
I felt difficulty in editing it or removing one passage.
Oh, I will delete it from my side. Don't worry.
Okay. So I have not uploaded any question by now.
Yeah, I will approve the passage. Then you'll be able to
Yes,
add the
I'm
questions.
waiting for that.
Yeah, I'll do that today. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But it is a quite some experience and actually to some extent it is exciting, but being a student, as I believe that everyone is a student when it comes about learning. So being a student, it's somehow it's a you can scary thing to make mistakes, especially when we have a guide like you that always you are very meticulous about the things. So,
No, that
so, so
actually
we have to be very careful.
I believe the right of the student is to make mistakes.
Yes, and, we know that, but at the same time, the man inside us do not allow
No, no.
doesn't allow us to make mistakes. As Joshi sir rightly said, that it takes a lot. Actually,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
seems that only one question, but actually it takes a lot to frame a question with so much of the quality that we are supposed to maintain. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
overall, it's a good experience, and we are trying our best to frame
yeah.
questions and to do good from our side.
Okay,
So,
sure. Thank
really
you, sir.
appreciate your work and for your guidance, and we are trying our best, and we will
Sure.
do. Uh,
Yeah. Please
uh,
feel free to make mistakes.
no, no,
The man in you should not say that. The child in you should allow you to make
no,
mistakes.
no, I never allow the child to be killed inside me. It is still alive, and you can ask Joshi sir that he will tell that everyone that okay, a child is still alive in me.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay. Next.
Okay, so uh, I would like to invite actually Pankaj sir that to share his experience. Please, Pankaj sir.
Yes, sir.
No, you are not audible, sir. Pankaj, you are not audible.
We can't hear you. Sir, we can't hear you. No.
Not.
No.
You are somehow now audible. Hello.
Can you say something?
Can you, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
There is some technical glitch.
Ah.
Whenever I use this application, Team,
Ah.
I think Zoom is a better option. I have thought it many a time.
I know,
Uh,
but I think your state doesn't allow so.
okay, okay. Actually, the question framing exercises which we are going through for past few months, as per my experience, that's my call. That's the work which I wanted to accomplish uh, initially. But now I have such a large experience, so I am fully involved in this task. And this is a creative and imaginative work which I want to accomplish since long ago, but I haven't that opportunity. And thank you for DPI for arranging this chance for us by establishing state assessment cell and EI especially for giving us this assigning this task. So it's can we say our learning curve is going higher and higher and in a positive direction. We are learning day by day, learning a lot, learning by our own mistakes, learning by observing, learning by reviewing, and learning by being reviewed. So we are gaining new experiences, new vistas of learning are opening for us. So it's really a challenging task and it's really enjoyable.
Nice to
So
hear
I
that.
hope everyone is enjoying this task. And what Joshi sir has said, everyone agrees. Every teacher who works in school surroundings, school atmosphere, I have been there for past 22 years. So I know the experiences, what he shared. It's all about frame of mind. So one of my suggestion to Joshi and other people also, that question framing must be your first task after getting up. That time you are free from all worries, you are fresh in mind, your imagination is at peak. So preferably try to do that work. That should be your first job or first task after being relieved. So that may be an advice. And other which I want to share, if anyone feels any problem using systems, I am there. Vaishali ji and Bharti ji are there. And if someone has asked us, we have given them advice how to overcome that problem. So I am there as a representative of state assessment cell, and we are all team members. So generally, I am experiencing a lot. I am enjoying a lot this task.
Thank you, sir.
This is the task which I wanted to do.
Thank you, thank you. Some of your reviews are really good. I like that, that you're
Thank you,
paying
ma'am.
close attention to the details. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you. I think Mukesh sir is left. Mukesh sir, can you share your experience?
Thank you, ma'am. I think this SAC has given all of us a good opportunity to work for our state, and this making of question and reviewing is something like brainstorming sort of thing, and I'm really enjoying it. Although I could not participate more actively earlier, but you can see my presence right now, and I'm very excited for the questions that I've posted on system, and I'm very keen to know from you or in your review.
Sure, sure. I will do that. I will do that. I've been a little busy the last 2 weeks. I will definitely clear them this week. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, you are audible to me.
Okay, okay, fine. So thank you all for your thoughts, and I think we will get into today's uh, presentation. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes?
it is
Okay.
visible.
Yeah, okay. So today what we are going to discuss is understanding by design. Uh, are you all aware of understanding by design? Did we touch upon it any time before? Uh, any of you are familiar with this concept of understanding by design, or is this all very new to you?
Ma'am, it's new for us because we haven't done like this.
Okay,
But
fine.
earlier we used to make lesson plans
Ah,
whenever we used to teach in the class. Yeah.
so you made,
And we used to focus on learning objectives and learning outcomes.
okay,
Uh,
okay. So
but not, yeah.
you have not used the UbD framework, understanding by design framework.
It's like an alien for us.
Okay, Fine, fine. Thank you, sir. That sums it up quite well for me. Okay, so
I have also heard these terms for the first time. Because of lesson plan and all, we are a bit aware about the learning objectives and all, but this time this design is a totally new thing for us. So we are really keen to and curious to know about it.
sure, sure, sure. I also, while making the presentation, I also read a lot, so it was also quite informative for me. Yes. So let's start. So understanding by design is a framework that was developed by two education researchers. I think their name is McTighe and Grant Wiggins. And this was adopted worldwide very, popularly because they found it very radically different from the existing methods at that time. So we'll go into detail on this topic, and so let's look at the. So, to the learning objective for this workshop is going to be understanding by design is a framework to deliver curriculum planning in a manner that helps students become lifelong learners. This is the objective. So, whenever we teach, you teach as a teacher, like suppose you are a grade 11 teacher, you're not aiming for making your students a good grade 11 student, right? You're not even aiming to make your student a good class 12 student. So it is a effort, the teaching effort is to make the students a lifelong learner, not just pass the exams. So that is the main aim of this framework. So we will see how the framework helps establish that. That's the objective. And what are the learning outcomes from this workshop? It's you should be able to design a learning unit using the understanding by design framework, and you should be able to use the 6 facets of understanding model to create an assessment task for the learning unit and provide an evaluative criteria for the same. Okay, so these are the learning outcomes. So the agenda for today is going to be, the first session will be an introduction to UbD as a learner-centered planning. And then, uh, so the two key things about UbD is understanding and design, understanding by design. So we will try to look into these two components a little more closely as to how they help uh, design the framework. And then session 3 will be uh, the stage 1 of the UbD framework, which is the desired results. And the last session will be like there's going to be an assignment, and we can have any questions and discussions that we feel that we need clarifications for, and generally brainstorm about UbD. Okay, so that's going to be the broad plan for the day. Am I going fast, slow? Please let me know anytime. Okay. Today's participation norms: be prepared to start on time. Okay, I think we started on time. Like this is for sessions with breaks, so you can ignore that. Be fully present. What I mean by fully present is keep any of your other devices off. Try to concentrate, because this is a little heavy kind of a concept. And be active participants. Don't make me talk all the time. Interrupt me. Ask me questions anytime. So be open to ask questions. I will ask people to take turns to read stuff. So please be attentive. Okay. So thank you. We will start now. So this is an excerpt from all of you must be knowing Alice in Wonderland book, and you must have read it also. I would like this is a conversation between the Cheshire Cat and Alice. Um, so can I ask one of you to read this? Uh, can I ask Pankaj sir to be the cat, and Garima ma'am, can you be Alice?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So Garima ma'am, you have to start.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a
No,
good
that I want Pankaj sir to read.
Okay.
Pankaj sir, you will be the cat. Are you having trouble with your system again? We can't hear you. Can Mukesh sir take it?
Hello.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you. That depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
I don't much care where.
Then it doesn't matter which way you go.
So long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you are sure to do that?
If you only walk long enough.
If only you walk long enough, says the cat. So,
Okay.
yeah, so this is a conversation between the cat and Alice. So, Alice wants to know where she has to go, but she said, as long as I go somewhere, that's fine with me. Then the cat says, oh, then you just walk enough, you will get somewhere. So, drawing a little bit of parallel to our teaching situation, we are all assuming we're all very good teachers with very good intentions, but we teach without uh, uh, giving much thought on where the child will go with the learning. It's like our teaching is more focused on I will cover my portions and the student has to show good grades. Not like okay, if I teach long enough or if I teach what I have been given to teach, the child will learn, right? So that is the commonly adopted method of teaching. Like teacher is given the curriculum and the textbook and they teach, then they test and then they make the report. So just like the thing here, without knowing where the child has to go with the teaching, what will the child be able to do, what is the destination of the child with this teaching, so it's not focused on that. So it's a little bit of trying to get you to go to the core point of what is the point of my teaching and the core point from the student's point of view as to what can I do with this teaching. Okay, so what is understanding by design? Understanding by design, we need to look at it from what it is not. It does not prescribe what or how to teach. It's not like a theory of teaching, or it's not like a philosophy of teaching. It's not even an approach to teaching. It doesn't say, oh, you have to teach this way and that way and all those things. What it is it is a framework to plan your learning process, learning and teaching process. It is a framework. So it's very important to get this idea that it is not a philosophy or a process or a approach, but it is a framework, like a template. It gives you a meaningful structure in which you can plan your teaching activities. So what are the two things it will help you achieve? You will be able to teach more efficiently, more effectively. Effectively means like all that you teach reaches the students, most of the students, and in the most understanding way. And it also makes the teaching process more efficient. We will look how it achieves these two things, being effective and efficient. And it moves away from focusing on I'm going to cover the portion. Okay, so its aim is to uncover the understandings of a concepts and not merely cover the portion. So this entire mindset of I have to cover the portion should be should not be like should not be like deleted, but kept aside, and concentrate more on what are the key understandings in the concept. How am I going to uncover these things for the student? Okay. as much as covering the portion is important, it is also like extremely important for the child to get the proper understanding of the concept. Otherwise, the child doesn't know what he or she will do with what they are learning. So that is uh, that's what the framework aims to achieve. Now, learner-centered planning. So this entire planning, this entire framing is used with a learner in mind. Like I'll go into that. So the traditional design has always been like, no, you prepare the topic and teach. And the second thing is you test for the topic and then you make report on the students' learning. So this is the traditional method of how we plan our teaching. We don't actually plan. We kind of like as Rajshri ma'am said, like, no, we do the learning objectives and things like that, but there is no plan as such. Like I will, as we go along the next few slides, we'll see how the plan emerges. So prepare the topic, teach, test, and then make report. Whereas understanding by design, so this is basically, we can say it's a topic driven approach. So you're given the topic and then you start, teaching it and then testing for the topic and make report for the topic. That is understanding by design. It's a little radical in method because it does the backward design. What is a backward design? First you make a list of the learnings that should happen. Like as you said, like the learning objectives. So what are the learnings? So if you have a unit, an English unit, you first make a list of what are at the end of the unit, what the children should have learned. It's almost like your prototype of your report you will make on a student's learning. So suppose you have like you're teaching 40 students and you want what will the ideal report for each of those 40 students be? Right? All that you wanted to teach has been understood by the student and the student can make use of it. That will be your report. So you start with the report. This is the report I want for each child. Like make a list of learnings that should happen. And then what you do next is, this is very critical, that you make the assessments first. First you make the list of learnings, and then you already create the assessments. Once you create the assessments, then only you gather your teaching material, the textbook or whatever, and then you start teaching it. So it is a backward design. So here you do the report, the list of learnings, then you make the assessments, and then you prepare for the lesson. So which is never done. We never create a test before we start teaching. So it's a little disruptive and radical in that manner. So here it is a outcome driven approach, whereas the traditional design was a topic driven approach. This is an outcome driven approach. And what does it achieve by being outcome driven? So once, it's not important that you make a list of these learnings and and keep it with yourself. You have to share it with the students and you transparently tell them, this is what I expect at the end of the unit. Of course, you don't share the assessments, but you have to share you don't share the actual task or anything, the questions or anything, but you will tell this is the kind of assessments that will happen for you. And so the child is prepared, so that the child is better engaged. And the second thing is better time utilization. So once you have the plan, once you know the learnings that have to happen, and then you have created the assessments for it, then when you're creating the assessments, you will use a list of learnings to make the assessments. That way, like, you will utilize your time better. And the last part is preparing the material. Now, this two things, that being prepared and giving intention to your teaching, this will come as a recurring theme in this understanding by design. So this is so from the teacher and the child's perspective, these are all very important. Like, for the child, that better engagement, and the child is also not wasting time because in meaningless activities. And for the teacher's part, like the teachers being better prepared, and the teacher has a intentionality to the teaching process. Okay, this is what it is. So I want to stop here for 1 second and ask you, when you think about a child's learning process, can you, each of you, give me one thing you would compare the learning process to? Like, can you compare a learning process to some other process? Just give me one comparison. What comes to your mind? What would you compare learning with? Joshi sir? Hello?
Madam, I would like to say something before Joshi sir says something.
Yeah, Joshi sir, keep your
The thing which is coming to my mind is the learning should be natural. It should not be forced.
so
It
no,
should
I'm
come
not asking.
automatically, naturally. Yeah.
I'm not asking how it should be. Can you compare
Okay.
the learning process to some other process in our life, like some other activity in our life?
Like cooking food easily. I think that kind of.
Okay. So while cooking food, what do you do? Like, we just don't take random ingredients and start cooking,
No,
right?
no,
So,
no. Yeah,
right,
we
we
take,
know
yeah,
we have an idea of what clearly we want at the end of the cooking. We can actually picture what should, suppose you're cooking a meal for your guests. You know exactly what the desired result is,
yeah.
right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So any other answers, Joshi sir?
Actually, the same idea was coming in my mind because actually today along with my wife, prepared shahi paneer in the
Wow.
morning. So the same process.
Okay.
First of
Anybody
all,
else
what
can
would be
give
the
me a,
effect,
sure, sure, sure.
results?
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else can give me an answer? Like, what would you compare your learning process with? Amit ji?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Uh, Actually, I'm quite jealous with, first of all, with Joshi sir. The reason for that, here we are facing quite a hazardous situation. We are almost in the condition of flood. Still,
Oh,
the weather is like for something like that Joshi sir has prepared with along with his wife, the Sahi Paneer. So actually, it's quite a mouth watering.
okay.
Okay. So I'm really jealous that he is enjoying so much of food, nice food. We can say that as we learn how to drive, suppose that it depends that who is the learner. Are we just trying to make learn to an adult, or we means somebody who is very young?
Okay. So
It
you're
dep- uh,
comparing it to the process of driving, learning to drive.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So
So yeah. So I've
we
got,
have to choose the rules or the situation depending on that who is the learner.
yeah.
Is it someone who is 40 or 30 years old, or someone who is only 13 years old?
Hmm, hmm,
So
hmm.
our pattern will definitely change.
Correct, correct.
Our
So
method will
you're
definitely
okay.
change.
You're comparing it to teaching, learning to some person, and another comparison we've got is comparing it to cooking, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So both can be used. We can fine tune and use it. So okay. So I just like I will compare it to a journey. Okay? The learning process is going to be a journey, and the destination is going to be the desired results. Like, when you go on a journey, we don't just book the we don't randomly book a ticket and then decide where to go, right? So you decide where to go, you decide the places where you want to, what you want to see, and the activities you'll be doing there, and then you will go and book the tickets. Okay, so this analogy I will try and use it for this process of understanding by design, how it works with understanding by design. Uh, uh, so in this session right now, like, understanding and design components of UbD. Okay. Uh, we will get into understanding first and then go into the design component. What does understanding mean? And so when we use the word understanding, we use it in a very loose manner. Like we can't differentiate between knowledge and understanding. We say, oh, he's a knowledgeable person. He's a person of great understanding. It's almost like we are using it in a interchangeable way, as if both are same. But when it comes to this UBD framework, these two, knowledge and understanding, have very distinct meanings. Okay. Whereas knowledge, if you see the picture, these are formed by discrete facts. Okay, they are like unconnected facts and information. Whereas understanding, what you do is you take these facts and relate them to one another. Okay, so that is the basic difference between knowledge and understanding in this framework. Can one of you read this? Pankaj sir, is your thing okay? Like,
Understanding is not knowledge. It is the set of ideas about some knowledge.
okay, so understanding and knowledge are not the same. Okay, understanding is so if you say knowledge is like there's a difference between saying I know something and I know about something. So understanding is a set of ideas about some knowledge. Both are not the same. Next one. Can somebody read?
Yes, understanding is not passive knowing. It's an active figuring out of why a concept is important.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not like you cannot passively sit and consume some information and say I understand. So understanding goes beyond passive knowing. It is an act of figuring out for oneself how a particular concept is, why a particular concept is important. Okay, the concept itself is made of like facts and information. But when you bring understanding to that facts and information, when you understand why these fact and information is important, how they are connected to each other, then you come to the understanding part. Amitji? Amitji, are you there?
Are you audible?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Understanding is not short-term recall. It is a long-term ability of transferring knowledge to new situations.
Yeah.
And these principles are applied in question framing exercise also by us.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So understanding is not short-term recall. It's not like you recalling facts and information, but it is a long-term ability of being able to transfer this knowledge to new situations, being able to apply in new situations. Anybody? Mukesh sir?
Understanding is not achieved by observing and being told, it is achieved by reasoning.
Yeah, so I think this is self-explanatory. I don't have to elaborate on that. So the basic difference between knowledge and understanding is like knowledge is made up of facts, information, information, not information, information, formula, and things like that. Whereas understanding is trying to make sense of this facts and information. Now let's see some examples of the difference between knowledge and understanding. For example, when in English, when you're teaching rhetoric, the definition of rhetoric would definitely be your knowledge part. And understanding would be being able to use rhetoric in a piece of persuasive writing. Okay. So when you're teaching active and passive, like, no, if the child is able to identify that this is an active sentence, active voice sentence, and this is a passive voice sentence, the child knows the difference between the active and passive voice. So they may even know the rules, but being able to actually convert, an active voice sentence to passive voice comes to the understanding part. So in your when reviewing each other's questions, and if somebody has tagged it to knowledge instead of understanding, you should be able to tell them, no, this is not an understanding question, this is a knowledge based question. But then the other person can come and tell you, like, no, suppose the question says which of these is written in an active voice, and and it is still a knowledge based question, because the child is only identifying that this is an active voice and a passive voice sentence. But and if you review the question and say this is not understanding, this is just knowledge, you have tagged it to understanding, but I don't consider it as understanding. And that person, the question maker, can come and tell you, no, how can the child identify without a knowledge of the rules for passive and active voice. See, when you're saying that itself, you know that knowing the rules for active and passive. So it is still belonging to a knowledge part. So knowing the rules doesn't mean that the child understands and knows how to use the rules. So being able to actually convert active to passive voice, or telling them which of these is written, which of these passive voice sentences are incorrect. You give a set of passive voice sentences and ask which of them is written incorrectly. Is to make them analyze the rules, apply the rules, then it becomes understanding. Okay. Okay. When we teach reading comprehension, foreshadowing is a technique that is used by authors, right, in the story. So when you're teaching this technique to the students, the child might understand the importance of foreshadowing as an author's technique. So knowing the importance is still knowing the importance, but if you make the child explain what purpose the foreshadowing technique serves in a given story, then it comes to an understanding part. Am I any questions on this? Because this is a area which we face, an issue which we face very regularly when we are reviewing questions. Because the question maker thinks that this is an understanding question, but then the reviewer feels, no, it's a knowledge question, or it's the other way around. All of you would have experienced when you were reviewing and writing, reworking for your review in this. Any questions on this? Any thoughts on this? Is the distinction clear between knowledge and understanding? Anybody has doubts, clarifications?
Ma'am, could you give one more example to clarify this?
One more example, what can we say?
Poems.
In
poems.
In poems.
Yeah.
So when you're analyzing poem.
Ji, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when you're analyzing a poem, like if you take a line from the poem and ask, like, that poem is difficult, because poem, most of them questions, you need some sort of understanding of the other, because even to take a line and interpret the line of the poem, you need to understand the poem itself as a whole. So for a poem, I think, like identifying the rhyme scheme of a poem would be just knowledge, because it is just a formula based thing.
Okay, ma'am. And how about understanding?
Understanding, see, that's what I'm saying. You can, the challenge when it comes to poem is making knowledge based questions, because all the questions you make, most of the questions you make for poem will fall under understanding. Like if you take a line and ask them to interpret the line in the context of the poem, and you take a even take a figure of speech and ask them what figure of speech has been used, so that can still come under knowledge. But there are certain overlapping places where knowledge and understanding will fall, because even to identify a figure of speech, except for alliteration and stuff where it is just formula based, that that all the beginning sounds of the letters in a line are same. So identifying those kind of figures of speech will still come under knowledge. But other questions like interpreting the line and what is the main theme of the poem, what is the tone of the poem, and all these will come under understanding. Is this clear or?
Madam, may I say something?
Yes, sir, please.
We can define in a way that if a particular figures of speech has been used, and somebody identifies that okay, X or by figures of speech has been used, it can be counted as knowledge. But sometimes what happens that that particular figures of speech defines the theme of that poem.
Correct. Very good. Very
Okay,
good.
so that comes in under understanding. Okay,
Yes,
why that particular frame figures of speech has been used in that particular poem.
This is
So
excellent.
that here comes the understanding.
Yeah, that's an excellent example. Like you used a figure of speech and asked why did the poet use that figure of
Yes.
speech? How does it help, build the theme of the
The
poem?
relevance of that particular figures of
Yes.
speech in the making
Yeah.
of the poem or defining the character or the theme.
Sure. Very good. Very good example. Ma'am, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for helping me out. I was little wondering, like, no. Yeah, very insightful question and answer there. Yeah, okay. So now that the distinction is clear between knowledge and understanding, we'll go to the, okay, 1 minute. Let's go to the design part. What do we mean by design? So when we are designing something, right? So like ma'am gave an example of cooking, right? Like learning is like cooking, or teaching also is like cooking. So when you are, so you might not have like a formal design of cooking, but you have a structure around it. You know what your end result has to be, and what has to go in it, what has to go into the dishes while cooking, and in which order it needs to go. So you have a basic structure in your mind, though it is not very formal or very explicit. It kind of intuitively comes to you, like after like many years of practicing it, or cooking. So when we are saying design, what it means is we have an intention behind it. So every design has a purpose. So like architects and engineers, when they design something, what they have in mind is what is important to their client, right? So they don't go about randomly designing something and giving it to the client. They ask what their client's needs are, how they intend to use it, how it will be useful for them, does it meet their requirements. These are the things they keep in mind when they design a solution. Just like that, teaching also has to be designed. So we say, oh, he's a good teacher. It means, it makes it sound very mystical and very abstract. But if we do not have a structure around our teaching plan, then the child doesn't know why he is learning that. Okay, it will be definitely an engaging, he'll be an excellent teacher in the sense, like, that the kids are engaged in the learning process. They love their teacher. They love how their teacher talks and teaches the lesson. But then there is no end goal, like the structured end goal to it. Okay, so unless we have the design in place, how much ever engaging your classes, how much ever your children love your teaching, it will still lack in the basic purpose of the entire learning goal. Okay, so to keep in mind, to actually bring the lens to that part of design, it is actually to tell, please have an intention behind your teaching. Okay. So intentionality rather than task completion. So I am going to cover the portions. I am going to cover this chapter in 2 days. Rather than focusing on that, have a sense of intentionality to the teaching. That's what the design purpose is. Then having a sense of preparedness. I told you already the two themes of intentionality and preparedness will keep coming again and again. And this understanding by design, the framework they have given, we will discuss the framework in detail later. What it gives is a robust structure and a chance to organize your teaching and teaching experience. It's not a static template. It's not like a written in stone kind of a thing. It is, you can use it in whichever way you want. You can be as creative with it as possible. But the uh, basic idea is that you have a structure around it to have an intention and to be prepared. That's the basic motive of this thing. It helps in cultivating critical thinking for your children. I will elaborate it a little more in the next slide. And it builds lifelong learning. So this is a very crucial philosophy behind the framework. You're creating lifelong learners and not just a 11th standard, good 11th standard 12 student or a 12th standard board exam student. So it goes beyond the classroom. The teaching, the learning goes beyond the classroom, and the curiosity to learn, the motivation to learn more and more. These are the characteristics you will be building in your children if this framework is used. And this understanding by design is being proven by many research studies to improve learning outcomes. So it's not like some fancy framework that somebody has designed it and people went gaga over it or things like that. It has been again proven again and again by research studies that the learning outcomes definitely improve when teachers have used this framework. So how does it help the students? They become system thinkers because we are not only imparting them knowledge, but also imparting them the techniques to understand how to connect all these bits and pieces of concepts to make an entire system. Okay, so if you take like a fiction as a system, like, okay, in the system of fiction, what are the different things that go into making the fiction, and what is the author's purpose? What are the techniques he used? What are the different elements of a fiction? All these bits and pieces, concepts come together and make a system. So you have to this model, this understanding UbD helps make them as system thinkers, and they learn to think divergently. So naturally, when you're looking at an entire system, you're bringing in many subparts and connecting it. Your mind starts working in a divergent manner and not in a very monolithic way. So it creates divergence in the children's thinking because they are making connections between ideas, and they grow more empathetic because this part I will explain it in tomorrow's one of the slides, because they will, when they start thinking of what they are learning as a system, they will have to bring in they have to look at the concept from different perspectives, like from the perspective of other people, other culture and things like that. So they become more empathetic, and they become problem solvers and not just test paper uh, test taking robots, or like, no, they're not good test writers, but they become problem solvers. Okay, so this is how it will help the students. And to capture in a nutshell about the difference between knowledge and understanding, one of you compared it to driving a car. Yeah, so if I know how to drive a car, you will just say I can drive a car. But if you understand how to drive a car, you will say I can navigate a car safely in crowded places. So there's a difference between I know how to drive a car, but the understanding comes when you say, I can navigate a car safely in crowded places. I can drive safely in dark places when in heavy weather conditions, severe weather conditions. These are the things that will tell that you understand the technique of driving instead of just saying I know how to drive a car. So that's in a nutshell about the difference between understanding and knowledge, and the design part is how to, again I'm going to repeat, the being prepared and being intentional about your teaching. Okay, so any thoughts, any questions, any clarifications so far? Anyone, any questions, any thoughts you have about anything you want to add about how design can help teaching? Do you all agree that having a design and structure definitely is a better plan than just taking the textbook and teaching? Anybody? So when you teach in your class, like, do you make a lesson plan at all? Like, how do you go about it? Do you all like take the textbook and start teaching, like, or do you look at the learning objectives that's been given? How do you actually go about it? Rajshri ma'am, I know you are heading a school, so how do your teachers, go about this teaching process? Do they have a plan? How does it work?
Actually, ma'am, I'm having only two teachers, regular teachers, and all other teachers are guest faculty. But I've got really good teachers here, two of them.
So how do you plan the teaching? Like, do you all have a session on how to go about the teaching, or it's just straightforward start teaching? Hello, Rachina, did I lose you?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Yeah, okay. For example, my maths teacher, he really makes teaching lesson plans in advance. Yeah, and he uses all the techniques which are taught in the B.Ed colleges. How to get previous knowledge of the student.
Prior knowledge.
Yeah, then start teaching.
Okay.
And his focus is on only one or two learning outcomes.
Okay.
That way, yeah, he does more micro teaching because he's teaching math. So he's most, yeah, that is.
Okay. Great. I know, like, anybody is talking? It's in our kind of a Indian system where we are not used to this kind of having a framework and all. Like, we don't even give time for such activities of creating a template for teaching and things like that. But even if you're not able to do it, the idea behind it is like you have. That's why I said it's a robust structure, and you don't have to follow it like a formula kind of a thing. You have like a basic plan of what how the teaching is going to happen. uh, that's where this framework helps. So I'm going to discuss the framework in detail now, and you can use it to in your classrooms in the way you want it. How much ever you can use from this. I mean, it's something is better than nothing. So this is an elaborate framework, but you're free to bring in your own creativity according to your the time available to you. You can plan some kind of a framework like this. Okay, so this UbD has three stages. The three stages are split into like I'll show you. Desired stage one is the desired results. Stage two is evidence, and stage three is the learning plan. Remember, I told you about the backward design. So you in your mind, you know what your ideal student's report card will be. So what I will go into each of the stage in an elaborate manner, but today we will concentrate on stage 1. Tomorrow we'll concentrate on stage 2 and stage 3. So in stage one basically uh, makes you write down what the student will be able to do independently using their learning. So under stage 1 desired results, on the left hand side you see established goals. Established goals are nothing but like this is given from the by the board itself, by your education board. Anyway, so I will go into detail in each of these stages. So stage 1 is where you write down all that you would like to see uh, about the report about a student, that the child should know this, the child should be skilled at this, the child should have these understandings, etc. And then the child should be able to do it. And the stage 2 is the evidence stage. This is the assessment stage. This is where you're creating the assessments. And then stage 3 is when you actually when you plan your learning events and instruction. We are going in detail into the desired results. What this framework helps you to do is given any topic, like you can go on about the topic for 100 hours or like 200 hours or things like that. So it helps you to narrow down the goal to a set of choices and priorities, and it instructs students in advance as to how they will be assessed. So if they know that they are being taught with a with this in mind, with this particular goal in mind, there will be better engagement from the student. And if they know that this is how they will be assessed, that will also create a sense of engagement for the student. Now going into desired results, stage 1. So established goals is something that is set by the education board. Like for your example, the okay. So for you, for example, the Madhya Pradesh Education Board will have a set of learning outcomes. I'm supposing that they have. So those for each grade. So one of those will be your established goal. And so in stage 1, there are 3 key things, that is transfer, meaning, and acquisition. So it is popularly known as TMA. I'll explain this in the next slide. So we are coming to we are in stage 1, where we are checking what the desired results should be from the learning unit. So first is the transfer goal. So here you will be mentioning what the student should be able to do independently using the learning from that particular unit. Okay. To check. So this is called the transfer goal. So transfer goal means like this learning they should be able to implement in outside the classroom in the future in any new situation. That's the transfer goal. So it's called applying the learning. Can one of you read this, please? Pankaj sir, is your phone okay now?
Statement.
No, your voice is breaking. Can you say now?
Statements of what, when, and how students will apply their learning.
So here you will state what the student should be able to do with their learning. Yeah, next. Pankaj sir, you can continue to read. Anybody else? Mukesh sir?
Hello.
Yeah.
Written from the student perspective.
Okay.
helps to chunk content.
Okay. So, so it is. These are statements of when, what, and how students will apply their learning, and it's written from the student's perspective and helps to chunk content. Then it provides deeper understanding of the goal. So once you state all these things, so it's not enough to state this, but also you should share it with your students and tell them this is what I expect you to do at the end of this uh, uh, the learning unit. So basically, this brings two things into focus. The child, because it's written from the child's perspective, these are the two things your transfer goals should address. Why should I learn this, and what can I do with it? If if your transfer goal can state that, then then the child will be more aware of the concepts that are being taught and why they are learning this and what they can do it. So it's the plan is to bring more engagement from the student. Build. So the transfer goal says that the kind of applying the learning should happen in new situations, and it requires strategic thinking, and it should show autonomy without teacher prompting or support. And this also application requires the use of habits of mind such as good judgment, self-regulation, persistence along with academic knowledge, skills and understanding. So the kind of transfer goal is not about recalling some knowledge or fact or information, but it, it demands the student to think in a strategic and in a reasoning way. So all these abstract qualities of being able to judge and self-regulate, these are the habits of mind that the child should be using once they learn the unit. That is the T part of it, transfer goals. Suppose we have, taking an example, there is an established goal. Can one of you read the established goal, Garima ma'am?
Uh, yes, sure, ma'am. So define the theme or central idea of a text and analyze in detail its development over the course of the text, including how it emerges and is shaped and refined by specific details. Provide an objective summary of the text.
Okay, so this is an established goal that is given to the teacher already. The teacher is not making the goal. The education department has made the goal. Determine a theme, central idea of a text, analyze in detail its the development of the theme over the course of the text and how the theme emerges and is shaped and refined by specific details. Provide an objective summary. So if this is the established goal, what can be the how will the desired results look like? For example, what will be the transfer goal for this kind of a unit? Okay, the unit name is a better word. So if you have a chapter like a lesson from your textbook and a particular established goal is given, then what will your desired results look like? Okay, let's try and see, like, for such a goal of theme and central idea, how it develops and things like that. Some of the transfer goals can be like refer to details and examples in a text when explaining what the text says explicitly and drawing inferences from the text. This is one of the transfer goals. To be able to summarize a story, compare themes, settings, characters, and plots of stories, or evidence from stories to support analysis. So these will be the transfer goals for a established goal like that. Okay. Any ideas on that? Do you think the anything else can be added to this transfer goal list of transfer goals? Okay. I assume that it's clear, and we can stop and discuss any time, so that should not be a problem. So this is an example for the unit A Better World, and for the given established goal. These are the transfer goals. Coming to the M part of it, TMA. So M is the meaning part of it. Now, so we already, like we were talking about the difference between knowledge and understanding. So now that understanding part is activated by meaning, like making meaning. So making meaning means like the student is going beyond the facts and information that's being given, but it is asking, like the child is asking some enduring questions about. So meaning is divided into two things. Under meaning you can see a section for understanding and a section for essential questions. So the child will make me, so in order to do the transfer successfully, the child should have reflected on certain essential questions on the topic. So what are those essential questions? So if you're going to teach like poetry, how to appreciate poetry better, how to comprehend poetry better, what are the enduring questions the child should be asking? What are the questions that will lead to bigger meanings about the poem? Okay, so this part is called owning the learning. So the child is making meaning for itself. Like you ask the essential questions, you ask them to reflect on these questions, and they reflect on it and come to bigger understandings about the concept. So what we saw in the transfer part was applying the learning. Here it is owning the learning. The child is going to own the learning. They'll make connections between different ideas that is presented, and make connections between prior knowledge and new learnings. Like Rashri ma'am said that she has a teacher who does, who keeps in mind the prior knowledge of the student before, doing a micro lesson on something. So, activating the prior knowledge, and also reflect on why the new learnings are of importance. So, if these processes should take place in the meaning part. Without this part, they can never be able to do the transfer goals. So first we saw transfer goals as applying the learning, then we are seeing make meaning as the owning the learning. So what are the understandings? What are the big ideas of enduring value? For example, that somebody read this. These are the big ideas that behind a concept. They are not facts and information or skills and abilities. They go beyond these things, and these are the big ideas of enduring value. Can one of you read Joshi sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please read, sir.
Ideas that go beyond dry facts, concepts, processes, principles, reflect on why the new learnings are of importance.
Yeah. So they go beyond the facts. They actually go beyond the facts and actually think, why does this concept work? Why does this process work? What principles go beyond this? What principles are applied for this fact and information to come together and form concepts and processes? And why this new learnings are of importance? So they should be you know, activating that understanding about the concept, and they are of enduring value, in the sense these are the things that they will carry with them lifelong, and they will be able to do the transfer goals as a lifelong activity, not just as a project activity. For example, in math, if a teacher is teaching shapes, it's one thing to know, okay, this is triangle and this is a rectangle, but to understand that different attributes are used to categorize shapes. This is the understanding part. Like the child is making meaning as to when they are classifying shapes or they are categorizing shapes. What kind of attributes about the shapes will they use? Uh, and when you're teaching them reading, they should understand that reading provides opportunities to know about people and ideas. This is an enduring value about reading. Communication. When you're teaching communication to children, they should understand that how successfully communication impacts how successfully we interact with others. This is a understanding of enduring value. So they go beyond, as we said, the dry facts of about the concept. So in order to come to those understanding, for the child to come to those understanding, the teacher has to list the essential questions. In that essential questions part, what are the essential questions that will lead the students to the deeper understanding? So you first write down what the understanding part, the list of understandings that should happen for the children uh, in order for the transfer to take place, and then you list down the essential questions that will lead to the understanding. So the questions are called linchpin questions. What's a linchpin? You know, a linchpin is the one that holds the axle in a wheel. That's the pin that holds the axle in a wheel and keeps it in position. Okay, so they are the critical questions, that they are the key to opening the understandings for a concept. What are these questions? These are open-ended questions. And naturally, without saying it, they are thought-provoking questions, and they are higher order thinking questions. They require support. What do we mean by require support? It doesn't have like a yes or no kind of an answer. Somebody has to guide you, and also you have to show evidence. It requires support in terms of evidence, and it also requires support in the very literal sense of the word, that the teacher has to support the student in acquiring, or teacher or anything. Like it definitely requires support to answer these questions. And they are recurring questions. Recurring questions means this is connected to the concept of lifelong learning. So this question should keep occurring in the student's mind even after the student has passed out of your grade or even the school, and lifelong. These are the recurring questions because there is no yes or no answer to it. So you keep their critical thinking alive with your unit, and it raises additional questions. Okay. For example, if a science teacher who is teaching metals, the key essential, some of the essential questions they can list down is, why do scientists classify metals? What is the need for it? And how do scientists classify metal? These are the questions that, though the textbook has a specific answer to it, they're actually open-ended questions, and these questions can be asked in different new situations for different purposes. So at the superficial glance, they might look like very straightforward questions, but then these are the more like a statement about the question, rather than it doesn't encompass the entire reason that why scientists classify metals, or how do scientists classify metals, though they look like they have straightforward answers. For example, let us look at that the English established goal we looked at, a better world. Okay? The better world unit, and the established goal was determine a theme or central idea that we read. And we also noted down the transfer goals. What are some of the understandings for that lesson we can list down? Because it is the unit is called Better World, so the understandings should blend the unit along with the transfer goals and create the understanding. Can one of you read the list, please? I can't, the thing is, because I am on a slide share mode, I can't see your, the names and stuff. So, anybody? Mukesh sir, Amit sir, anyone? Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to read it. Understandings. That's what I have to. Yeah. Author express value lessons in their stories. Value lessons are not directly expressed. Determining themes require analyzing the story elements. Need to analyze examples of mistreatment, importance of equal opportunities, and treating people with respect.
Yeah. So these are the enduring understanding the child should take away from your unit lesson. So it is better to you list down all these understandings, and again, the more important thing is to share this with the students so they know why they are doing that unit and what kind of understanding they will take away from that unit. And what are some of the essential questions that will lead to these understandings? What life lessons do authors communicate through stories? How do people make the world a better and just place? These are the essential questions. If you ask them to reflect on, they should come to these understandings. So now, what is acquisition? Now, so first we looked at, we have a given established goal in place, and then we have the desired results. In the desired results, we have three parts. One is transfer, meaning, and acquisition. And in the transfer part, we are writing down the transfer goals, what the child should be able to do with the learning, that is applying of the learning. And then the second part was meaning, where the child, we are saying the child will own the meaning. So in order for the child to own the meaning, you are listing down the understandings that the child should get and the essential questions that the child should reflect on for that understanding should happen. Now we are coming to the third part of the template, which is acquisition. Acquisition is nothing but these are the things that the child should know and should be skilled at, the different knowledge they should have and the different skills or abilities they should have in order for them to apply it in their to be able to apply their knowledge. That is, the transfer goal cannot happen if they do not have certain knowledge or if they do not have certain skills. So it's called acquiring the learning. So we saw first was applying the learning, second was owning the learning, and then the third part is acquiring the learning. So acquiring the learning is like without, these are the tools that you're providing the student to show that they will be able to perform in the tasks you give them in the assessments. So the means for showing evidence of performance. This is definitely necessary, but without it, the child cannot have meaning and transfer, but this is not sufficient. This is an important thing, and this needs explicit teaching. You have to like teach these things explicitly. So here we will, the teacher is required to write at the end of the unit, the child will know things. What are these statements? These are the knowledge required to perform a task, the specific factual information, vocabulary, the academic terminologies, all those things the child should know. This you will, and it requires direct, explicit instruction. Okay. And the skills are abilities to required to carry a task, the methods, processes, principles, all these things the child should know. So all that is written for the in the acquisition part. For example, that example we are continuing of the Better World unit. Uh, so, what are the knowledge aspects the child should have for that unit called Better World, and the established goal of identifying the central theme, and how the theme develops using certain specific techniques. What are the knowledge things they should know? Can I want I want the men in the group to read this, because I know Rajshri ma'am and Garima ma'am have done their part quite a bit and volunteered. Can one of you, Joshi sir, Amit sir, Mukesh sir, Pankaj sir, any of you can read this knowledge part?
Yes.
Who's this?
What life, this is Hariram Joshi.
Sir, okay.
What life lessons are communicated through art? People create art for different reasons, but all art communicates life lessons that teach us about ourselves and our world. These life lessons are called themes. Artists do not directly explain themes in their art. We can determine theme by analyzing key details such as goal, problem, response to problem, and outcome.
Yeah. So how will this knowledge be taught? Like, how will this happen? Like, what life lessons? Can you read that also?
Yes. What life lessons does the author communicate through Emmanuel's dream? The author of Emmanuel's dream communicates many themes through the story. For example, people with disabilities can do many things. People with disabilities have the same rights as everyone. We must believe in ourselves, even when others think we are not capable. When people are determined, they can overcome obstacles.
Yeah. So these are the knowledge part that should come through for that particular unit. I've taken it from another UBD site. So what are the skills that are required to be able to perform a given task for this unit? What are the skills that the knowledge they should have is given on the left hand side. The skills they should have is given here. Uh, Amit sir, Pankaj sir, Mukesh sir, anybody else? Anybody, one of you?
Skills students will be able to identify key details that communicate theme, determine theme.
Okay, these will be the skills.
Yes.
So what? How will
Identify,
they come to that now? What are the subtopics of the thing?
identify story elements, recording key details and inferences in a story map. Orally summarize story elements using language frames and key vocabulary. Close read excerpts by examining language and answering text-dependent questions about theme. Ask and answer questions through the point of view of different characters. Summarize the central conflict response and the outcome of the story. Determine theme and identify details that communicate it. Compare themes in stories.
Yeah.
This supports the performance task.
So once you have this stage one, has a clear cut plan for, uh, you know, about what, having the learner as the entire focus, what the learner should be able to do, what they should understand, what knowledge they should have, what skills and abilities they should have. So today we are dealing only with the stage one of the framework. This is so I have finished the stage one discussion. Now what I want us to do as a group is, uh, you know, let's brainstorm one of the examples. Okay, suppose okay, suppose all of you should take part in this, because this will let me know if you have understood what has been discussed today, and if there are any questions, then I will be able to clarify them. Just give me a minute. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to organize the slide a little better. Okay. Meanwhile, can you share any thoughts on this session? Like, was there something, were there any areas that was difficult to understand, or any thoughts on the session in particular?
Madam, I would like to know something.
Ah.
When you introduced this idea of understanding by design, you showed us three things. There was we have to create assessment before taking the material, before taking the task material. So how could we prepare assessment without the task material? That was the question which came to my mind.
Yes. So yeah, so once you have this established goal and you know that the student has to be able to do something, okay, when you know that the student has to be able to identify a thing, then you know what exactly your question should be, right, in your assessment task. Suppose you're saying that my transfer goal is that the student should be able to identify the theme and should be able to identify the information that supports the theme. Then when you're making an examination task, right, when you're preparing a test, you know what kind of questions you should ask, right, once you have the transfer goals.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I meant by you have the transfer goals so that you make the assessment to address the transfer goals. Instead of asking like no all and everything, you should tie them up to the transfer goals. That's why you have the transfer goal first and then you create the assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the design part of this thing.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else would like to share your thoughts on this?
Hello, madam. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
My insight is that it's Bloom's taxonomy redefined.
Bloom's taxonomy is about the different levels of understanding, right? Like it has knowledge. That is more about the cognitive level of the questions. Right. This is a plan to you're planning your curriculum. You're planning your lesson.
But the basic, definitely the use and application is different. Application criteria is different, but the principle is the same. In Bloom's taxonomy also there is knowledge, there is understanding, and there is application. And here they say acquisition, understanding, and transfer of learning.
No, so what I meant was, one second, hold on. I just
So there is mm, not an innovative or novice principle here. I think the Bloom's taxonomy has been redefined here.
So what I am trying to no. What I am trying to tell you is Bloom's taxonomy is for separating what is. Just one second. Let me just go to my first slide. if you look at this framework, this is the UbD framework, Understanding by Design framework, and this is used to plan your lesson. In your lesson plan, what you're saying is what they should be able to apply, but the key is not about knowing what it is there, but you're creating a framework for your teaching. If you have a lesson and if you want to teach them, to have this basic plan in teaching. Your Bloom's taxonomy will come more in detail when you're creating the assessments. Okay? The different types of questions you can create in an assessment. So this if you have this the when you know that the child has to know how to apply this and they should understand this, then when you come to the evidence stage where you're creating the assessments, you will make questions to test those. So I get that Bloom's taxonomy is being used in a different way here because Bloom's taxonomy is purely about the cognitive skills that is required, the ability to explain, recall, understand, analyze those things. But we are bringing it together in a structure for the teacher to plan the material. Is that clear, sir? So this is a planning framework. This is a teaching, learning, planning framework. And you use those concepts like meaning and application, everything to put it in a framework.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That the principle is the same, but the application has been changed.
Correct.
Here they are used for planning, for teaching. And focus is on learning outcome and learning objectives.
Correct.
And one more thing I want to say, that we have Bloom's taxonomy, I think, has been designed not only for assessment, it's all for learning. And it has two other domains also, besides the cognitive domain. It also encompasses affective domain and a psychomotor domain.
Correct. Very good.
So skills are involved in psychomotor domain.
Yes. Yeah. So we have in Bloom's taxonomy, there are actually 4 domains: cognitive, affective, psychometric, and one more behaviorist domain or something like that is there. If I remember right, there are 4 domains. Let me check on that. I have so Bloom's taxonomy is one framework of your mental processes. UbD actually uses a different set of mental processes. That is, when we come to assessments, we'll be learning the 6 facets of understanding. Like Bloom's taxonomy as what is that? Recall, understand, analyze, evaluate, synthesize, and one more thing, create. Right? I think those are the 6 things there. Whereas UbD, these guys, the McTighe and Wiggins, they have come up with 6 types of cognitive skills, which we will go into it tomorrow. I think I shared, there was a pre-reading given on that 6 facets of understanding.
Yes, ma'am. There was a pre-read.
Yeah. So if you you can compare this understanding this 6 facets of understanding with the Bloom's taxonomy. So that will give an idea. So UbD does not use Bloom's taxonomy. They use the 6 facets of understanding. And Bloom's taxonomy is also used in teaching, but it's not a framework. Bloom's taxonomy is not a framework. It's a sort of a theory, basically. Here, all those cognitive skills are, as you said, I'm going to use your word, repurposed to make a framework. Am I clear? For teaching. Pankaj sir, is that clear? Hello? Voice is breaking. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
It's quite clear, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, okay, okay. So what we will do now is I'm going to let's brainstorm a little bit from whatever we have learned. I'm still open to clarifying any doubts. So if you have any doubts, do let me know. Uh, I think Rajshri ma'am asked, like, how do we create an assessment before teaching? So what this is saying is, before teaching, you plan your what you want to teach and why they are teaching, and then you create an assessment for what you've taught, what basic takeaways the child will take. The child has to perform to show you that they have learned, and then you start teaching. That's my slide. I am sharing an established goal. We will, as a group, discuss about what kind of transfer goal this should have, what kind of understanding and key questions this should have, and what are the skills and abilities the child should be taught. Okay, this is, suppose you are a teacher. We are all teachers now, and we are looking at this established goal, and we will brainstorm on these ideas. Okay, so that's going to be this session. Can one of you read the established goals? I've been talking a lot. Mukesh sir, Amit sir, they are very quiet.
We are willingly quiet, ma'am. I'm I'm considered to be very chatterbox or too much talkative. That's why I was just keeping
Oh my
myself
God.
quiet.
No, no, no.
Yes,
I want you to be a
people
chatterbox.
complain that. Hariram sir will confirm that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So, suppose we are we are all like teachers in a school, and we are all given the
I'm going
established
to
goals.
read it.
Yeah, please.
Established goal: students write literary text to express their ideas and feelings about real or imagined people, events, and ideas. Students are expected to write poems using poetic techniques such as alliteration, onomatopoeia, figurative language like similes, metaphors, and graphic elements such as capital letters, line length.
Hmm. So, what can be the simplest goal established transfer goal for this as a teacher? What at the end of the unit, what do you expect the child to do, be able to do?
Am I supposed to answer that, or
All of us are
you are
supposed
asking
to answer.
randomly?
All of us are supposed to
Madam,
answer. Whoever answers, the person who's answering should tag the next person.
okay,
Name the
ma'am,
next person.
I'm going to be first.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, here the first transfer goal would be to the student will be able to compose poems, I think,
Okay.
independently, yeah,
Oh,
using his imagination, ideas. That is the thing which comes to my mind.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, Amit sir would be next.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for nominating me. I agree with Rasi, ma'am, but I would add one more point. Okay, they are supposed to learn various parts of speech as well.
Hmm. Parts of speech.
Sorry, figures of speech. Sorry.
Ha. So they will learn all those things. So that will come in the knowledge and skills part.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we are just saying transfer. What should the child be able to do at the end of the unit? So as okay, this is as a simpler thing. I will just I don't think that we will disagree on this. This is to create an original piece of poetry, right? All of you agree on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just before you said this thing, this is stuck in my mind that the thing is they create an original piece of poetry. I agree to
Yeah.
this statement.
So this is the simplest transfer goal we can have for this unit, right? So some of these goals will lead you to have just one clear transfer goal. Some of them will, like the other one we were discussing about central theme and main idea. They will have a little more elaborate transfer goals. Okay. Okay. Let's go into meaning part. Oh. So, what are the key understandings that should happen in order for the child to create an original piece of poetry? Okay, I think last time Rajshri ma'am had tagged Amit sir. Yeah.
Yes, this is
Amit sir.
Hariram Joshi.
Okay.
This actually the students should be able to
Here, I think the verb is very key here. Uh, don't say able to. This use that word make meaning and understanding, right? They should
yes.
understand. Like if you change the verb, then so for the transfer goal, we say they will be able to do. Then do is create a original piece of poetry. Here, the child should understand.
Understand how to connect figurative language and poetic techniques to the theme of the poetry.
Okay. Next person. So you can tag someone else. Joshi sir, whom would you want next to go?
Yes, please. Garma ma'am is requested.
Garima ma'am, what do you think is a deeper understanding the child should have
Uh,
in order to create an original piece of poetry?
Yes, ma'am. A student should be able to use the words in his own language as well as should be able to compose a poetry, compose a poem.
So that they will be able to do, but what understanding do you think they should have? What is a vital understanding? Like Joshi sir said that they should be able to connect the figurative language to the theme of the poem. Anything else do you think that they should understand? Like what's the deeper understandings they should have?
They should understand the deeper meaning of the poem if it is teaching some life skill or some moral value. So a student must be able to use that value or should adopt that value in its own in life and in
Hmm.
behavior.
Hmm. Okay, great. Would you like to tag the next person?
Mukesh sir, would you please? I would like to nominate Mukesh sir next to answer next question.
Mukesh sir, what other deeper understanding the child should have for this goal?
I think the student would probably connect his imagination to the reality world like this,
Hmm.
and
Imagine.
use the figurative languages.
Okay. So Joshi sir said that connect figurative language to theme. Garima ma'am said uh, focus on the values or the lessons the poem will convey. And so you're saying connect imagination to reality.
Yes.
Who else has not answered? This is Mukesh sir.
Ma'am.
Mukesh sir, you only said, no, imagination to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connect the imagination power with, real world or reality.
Okay. Next, Amit sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. What is your, what would you put as a deeper understanding for the child to have?
Okay, when we have the transfer goal of making or creating a poetry, a student must understand to use the terminology or the figurative language in that poem, so that he can create his, or so that he or she may be able
So that
to
will come
demonstrate what
under,
he wants to.
that will come as a skill.
He must
So that,
understand the use of the technique and terminology of the poem or poetry, so that he can make everyone understand that what he wants to show the theme, or to represent it, not to represent, actually, how to, he must know, understand how to create a theme, where, sorry, I'm not able to.
so what I'm trying to tell you is these are like skills and abilities you should have. They should understand how to, means they should be able to do it, right? So it's an
Yes,
ability. So here we are not talking about abilities and what they should know,
that's why I'm
what the
unable to
definition.
explain it.
Oh, okay, fine, no problem. Pankaj sir, do you have any ideas?
Uh, Hello.
Yeah.
Uh, we can differentiate the fine difference between simile and metaphor in other situations also.
So that will be an ability, no, again, like that will be a knowledge point, right? Like a deeper understanding, like go beyond the
Uh,
classroom and enduring
but
understanding.
on a deeper level, he can differentiate where is the simile and where is the metaphor in different other situations. So I think that must be understanding of meaning, and accept that uh, the graphic elements for how a poem is written in a stanza form, in a couplet form,
So
5 line
that will
stanza,
be
4 line stanza.
that will come under knowledge and skills. Knowledge, like what they should know, what are the tools they require to create the poetry, like
So
you
why
know,
that point here in third category? Graphic elements,
all that
capital
will come
letters
under
like
knowledge. All that will come under knowledge. They're all information
language
about.
part.
This is the deeper
Language
meaning part.
part. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I show like
Simile
this?
and metaphor, there is a fine difference, fine line of difference between simile and metaphors. Sometimes students get confused. Where is the simile and where is the metaphor? So uh, he fully understands the difference between them in a given situation.
Okay. So, from my point of view, I would still put it as the skills, abilities, knowledge part, the third acquisition part, what all they should acquire. The deeper meaning part goes there. Remember, they're open questions. There are no yes or no answers to it. They are, require critical thinking. They are recurring questions. So those kind of questions, they are not textbook, like a question in a test paper. Okay. Pankaj sir, can you read this? These are the deeper understandings. This I took it from a site which gives sample UbD lesson plans. Pankaj sir, can you
Okay,
read this?
am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Actually, there is a discrepancy between my earphone and I have to unplug it
No
and
problem.
there is some problems. Understandings, students will understand that different poetry structures can be used for different purposes. Writing poetry is a way of expressing feelings and thoughts through sensory modalities. Presentation of the poetry should reflect the poet's mood or purpose.
Yeah. So these are bigger questions. This is not about the child knowing to be able to differentiate between simile and metaphor and things like that. Will come in the acquisition part. So here we are talking like um, connecting figurative language to the theme. So the Joshi sir said that, right, different poetic structures can be used for different purposes. Joshi sir said like connecting figurative language, that will come partially into this, that you can use figurative language to to convey your theme. Then imagination and reality also comes, like what Mukesh sir was saying about connecting imagination to reality. So that's where feelings and thoughts come. They should understand that poetry is a way of expressing feelings and thoughts through sensory modalities. And then poet's mood or purpose, I think Garima man said, right, focus on the purpose or the value lessons. So
ma'am, it was about learn the moral values that should be adopted in a student's behavior and manners.
so it's a presentation, like you can use poetry to reflect the poet's mood or purpose. Right? So these are the bigger questions. Are you getting the difference between understanding the kind of understandings that should have, like these are not like specific questions on how to use simile or metaphor or differentiating between them. These are like more like abstract statements and uh, ideas basically about writing poetry. What is the purpose of writing a poem? What can you express through poem? What can be used to express the poem? Those kind of stuff. Pankaj sir, is it clear to you?
Hard. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's quite clear, not only to me, to all, but it's hard to have a correct example.
Yeah, because today only we are exposed to this, right? So the more we use it, but I don't think, in your teaching learning system, there is a lot of opportunity to use it. Like unless we put our mind to it. And this is not like a huge big exercise that, requires a lot of time. This can be done even before you get into your classroom, before you start a learning unit, like just briefly jot down what are the transfer goals, what understandings they should have, and what are the now related to this, what are the essential questions that will lead to the understanding. Okay. Rashri ma'am, can you read this?
Established goal, ma'am.
No. The essential questions. So now we went through the understandings, right? Like in order for the child to create an original piece of poetry, they should have the following understandings: that poetry structures can be used for different purposes. It's a way of expressing feelings and thoughts, and it should reflect the poet's mood and purpose. Now, in order to come to these understandings, what are the essential questions the child should reflect on?
Okay, ma'am. Essential questions. Is there any one kind of poetry? Is there one definition of poetry? What makes a piece of writing poetry? How does the structure of poetry allow for different expression of emotion, thoughts, and insights?
So once, if you put these questions to them, if these are the questions, like if you're teaching this unit, and you know that the child has to do a transfer code, and then child should have the understanding. But in order to lead them to the understanding, you should have these essential questions ready. You should pose these questions to the children and guide them to come to these understandings. So tomorrow we will be looking at how this ties up with the assessments in particular, because This is an assessment cell. So tomorrow we will look at how UBD, the stage 2 is about assessments. So we will look at assessments. Today we are just looking at the desired results. See, unless we understand the framework as a whole, then the assessment part, will look a little patchy. We won't know how it fits in. So that's why I decided to explain the entire UBD first and then get into assessments tomorrow. So then later we can have discussions on, in more detail about assessments and UBD. So this I thought was essential to know. Anyway, coming back to this particular example, we saw what are the transfer goals and we saw what are the understandings and the essential questions. Now we will go to the third part, TMA, transfer, meaning and acquisition. Now what should the child acquire for the established goal was this. Now, in order to be able to write the poetry with very good understanding of the poetry, what are the things that they should know and what are the abilities they should acquire? Amit ji, can you open the chatter box? Amit ji, can you hear me?
Excuse me, ma'am. This is Hariram Joshi. Students should acquire
two things. Think about knowledge and think about skills and abilities. We can list it like that.
Vocabulary is the one thing it should acquire. And applying the words to express his emotions or feelings. Yes, next.
What are the knowledge? Let's concentrate on what are the knowledge they should have, not the abilities. Just the knowledge they should have in order to be able to create a poem. Garima ma'am, Mukesh sir.
Use of different figures of speech or poetic device, how to use them to express the outburst of feelings in the most effective way a student should know.
Okay. So that is like able to do, right? That is a skill that they should be able to. They should have the skill of apply those things. Those.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say that a student must be skilled at using different poetic devices to express his feelings and emotions very efficiently and effectively.
Okay, that will come under skill. Knowledge would be like knowing having good vocabulary, and then using the terminology. Yeah. So knowledge is this. Ma'am, can you read this?
Me? Okay, sure, ma'am. Knowledge. Students will know the requirements and definitions of a number of poetry structures, including limerick, haiku, narrative poetry, and free verse. Poetry vocabulary, including rhyme, meter, foot, feet, syllables, stanza, similes, metaphors, sensory, imagery.
So if the child has to create a poem and according to certain poetic parameters, they should know, this is the knowledge they should have. What are the requirements, what are the definitions of a different types of poetry, the structures that are available to them, so then they can take up appropriate structure. So what are the different types of poetic structures? And then what are the different elements in a poetry, the rhyme, the meter, foot syllables. So these are all just information, the factual information. that they should definitely know. So first is the transfer part, to apply with understanding, that is the meaning. They should acquire these things. That is the flow. Apply with understanding, you should acquire these things. So first is the knowledge. This is the knowledge they should acquire. And what do you think is the skills and abilities they should have? Rachi ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, ma'am. Skills. Do I have to read this?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, skills. Students will be able to identify different poetic structures, define poetic vocabulary, apply their knowledge of poetry structure to create personal poetry.
So these are the skills they should acquire. So this is the last part, A part in the TMA, transfer, meaning and appreciation. So this is all I wanted to discuss today. Any questions so far? Okay, I will share the assignment that you will have to do today. For you'll have to bring it tomorrow for, and we'll be discussing that. So it's a. We'll come to the questions. So I will share a template with you. This is the unit will be Ethics in Society. It's a class 12 textbook for NCERT from CBSE textbook. I will share the lesson also. The lesson also will be shared, and this template also will be shared. Please go through the lesson and go through the established goal. And please note down the transfer goals, the understandings, essential questions, knowledge and skills that the student should have for this. Okay, it's not like it's not like question making, which will require you to think about a lot of stylistic and guidelines and things like that. This is just because all of you have many years of teaching experience. It's just working on your teaching instincts and just putting it in as a structure. Is the assignment clear?
Ma'am, is the chapter's name Deep Water?
The chapter name is not Deep Water. I will share it with you. It's something else. I will share that. That lesson also will be shared with you, ma'am. Is the assignment clear? All you need to do is go through the lesson, look at the established goal, and list down your transfer goals and understandings and essential questions, and what the child should acquire, the knowledge and skills. Is it clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop the presentation now. Okay. So any questions you have, any clarifications and anything you would like to add, I would love to hear about your experience about how you go about teaching and, because that's very valuable for me, because what happens in the classroom is the pedagogy part is very, is what all this what we are doing, right? Even the assessment cell, we say it's a special assessment cell and all those things. All of that at the end kind of channels into improving the classroom teaching experience and the learning experience for the child. So if it doesn't tie up to that end goal, all this we are doing is just an academic exercise. There is no a personal or a professional gratification to this. So I would love to hear about mm, your views on understanding by design. Like, it's not about about the different theories and what we have learned, but your personal views on is this a useful framework, and how easy or difficult it is to apply it in a classroom. I would like to listen to those views. Mukesh sir, can you start? Mukesh sir, you're on mute. Is he there? Hello, Mukesh sir? Can others hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know why he's not able to hear me. Pankaj sir, can you start with like what are your views on this UPD? Is it a useful one? Like, what are your ideas on this? We can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
UBD is a perfect framework before going in the classroom, before teaching, understanding by design. If we use that for our teaching purpose, then it proves a Chinese proverb which struck in my mind that nothing can be taught, but
Oh, your voice is breaking, sir. What was the proverb you're talking about?
but
No,
everything can be learned.
Oh, okay.
It's a Chinese saying.
Ah,
So it focuses on learning. Learning outcomes, learning objectives, learning goals are there. So we start backward method. For example, when scientists plan to launch a rocket, they use countdown method. When a filmmaker makes a film, he first decides the date to be declared when the film is to be opened. So he goes in backward backtracking method. So when the end result is in our mind, plan is definitely going to be achieved.
correct, correct. It's like planning
So
for a
under
journey. Yeah, it's like
but
planning for.
the main
Yes, continue, sir.
difficulty is that, ma'am, these are all good principles, these are all good theories, and they can be translated into practice. But the teacher must not be the single stakeholder for all that.
Yeah.
All the society members, administrators, parents, principals, whoever is the monitor, they must be stakeholder and be responsible. Otherwise, these things must be in only theory and books. So if we want to get them to the end user, that is our student, everyone uh, must be accountable for that.
Okay.
So
So you're
this is
saying
my
like
personal opinion. This is my
correct.
personal opinion. As far as the
Oh, we lost him again.
sir, we want the student to learn. It can be achieved by using this method.
So you're saying unless it is implemented in a systematic manner, it will just remain a theory.
Hello?
Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
No, you're saying like unless it is implemented systematically, it will just remain a theory.
Not only this.
Not
only this. It applies on the all the principles in all the sphere.
Correct. That's true. That is true. Very true. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share your views on this framework? Like,
Yes, this is Hariram Joshi.
yes, sir.
This framework actually leads the teachers from passive teaching to active creating active learning atmosphere in the class. And the most important thing is that teachers, before going into the class or starting the topic, they are well aware of the skills students are going to acquire after completion of this. So this is important and really very helpful as far as 21st century skills are concerned. So this method is really very good. And we always do this, most of us do the same thing, just going into the class, ask the students to open your book, and nobody knows what is the purpose of teaching of this lesson. And we deliver the lesson in the class.
Correct.
So this is going to be changed through this method.
Yeah. So most of the times teachers complain, oh, my children are so disinterested. They are like, no, don't, they have no interest in learning. They are poor, poor learners. I don't see the curiosity in them to learn. But we forget to ask ourselves, like, what kind of curiosity I'm creating? Like, are we telling them why they are learning this? How it will be helpful? For example, why are children more interested in playing a game than learning a lesson? Because in the game, when they are learning a game, they know that the end result is to win the game, right? So they already know the end result. Whereas when they are learning a lesson, they don't know what the result is going to be. So once you don't know why you're doing this, they will just do it because they are asked to do it.
Certainly.
Right? So that is the thing, like, to instill that curiosity in them. You tell them this is why you are learning. This is what, for me, the more critical part is that we are creating the assessment even before teaching. I think that is a very radical thing to do, because we always teach the lesson and then we start writing questions for the lesson.
Yes.
Right? So when the students know what kind of assessment they are going to see and what will be expected of them in their performance, then you have you've given them no choice but to be engaged. Anybody else? Mukesh sir has said, I think he shared. Karima ma'am, Rajshri ma'am. Rajshri ma'am, I would like to listen to you as from a school leadership perspective.
Ma'am, definitely UBD is innovative, and it will make our teachers more organized and systematic, because I think most of them are teaching in the classrooms without any preparations or a structured approach. And their learning objectives and goals are not clear. They are not focused on their learning outcomes. Uh, as I have seen in my school, only 2 or 3 teachers they are doing it effectively. They are effective teachers, and the students are they really enjoy their teaching. That kind of thing. There is a connection between teacher and student in their classroom, because I think objectives and outcomes are clear to students, and they are getting something from them. They are learning, really learning. Uh, I think that makes a teacher valuable for the student. If he's able to impart knowledge to them, or help them to achieve something in their life, yeah, or makes their goals clear in their life. So I think it will definitely shift the focus from mechanical teaching to, as Joshi sir said, active teachers will become active and more learning oriented. And as you said earlier, UBD is for making students learners for life.
Correct.
So I hope it will definitely help learning in our state. Uh, and what I think it will introduce a reflecting part in our teaching process, which is missing there. Yeah. Our teachers don't focus on open-ended questions. That's what I felt, what I observed.
That's true. Open-ended questions can be like really good tools for getting what is, whether the child has understood the concept well or not. And one of the things you said was like, some of the teachers who teach with the learning objective in mind, they are better engaged, the students like the teacher a lot. So this is independent of the teacher itself, like, the connect is not between the teacher and the student, but the what is being taught and the student. So that engagement should be clear, like the student is engaged with what they are learning. I mean,
Yeah,
because there can be very good teachers, life changing teachers can be there, but the goal of that particular unit might not get achieved. I might learn a lot from my teacher, but they need not they need not uh, with that I cannot say, okay, I from this teaching I can do a transfer code. So being an excellent teacher is necessary, but being an excellent teacher with a structured teaching is what completes the picture.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
So any other questions, clarifications about the assignment? Assignment, we'll send you the template and the chapter. You don't need to spend more than half an hour on that. Just list the transfer goals, essential questions, understandings, knowledge and skills. That's all. Okay. So because I took a 2-hour session on understanding by design, it might look, oh, it's like a big deal. It's actually not a big deal. If you just take the template and just put it down, it's just a half an hour thing. And it's an achievable thing.
Ma'am, don't put a time limit to do it because I have to go to a meeting right now, and I
Oh,
don't know when I will come back from that. Because
what you can do is
yeah,
tomorrow our session starts at 11 o'clock. If you
yeah.
can send it by 9 o'clock, then I can put it up in the presentation so that we can discuss.
No, ma'am, I will send it today only in the later in the evening. Yeah.
Yeah, so please do it. Otherwise, what we can do is you can share it on the screen if I'm not able to add it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
So
thank you, ma'am.
yeah, but please finish this thing so that because tomorrow's half the session is just discussion on that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. If there's no other clarifications or questions, we can end the session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good time.
You too, ma'am.
Thank you.